YouTube, how's it going? Frogs Angels is back, recapping Week 15's action in the NFL. We still have Monday night to play, Saints vs. Panthers. I have an updated prediction at the end of this video. But, yeah, right before we get into it, go ahead and check out our Twitter, Frogs_Angels. Link in the description for that. We got predictions on there for playoff Super Bowl. We talk during live games. A lot of good stuff there. Please give us a follow. But on to some games. We did the Chargers-Chiefs game live. I was shocked at the end of that game, like most of us. The Chiefs had a very good lead. I think it was 14 points with just over 8 minutes left. They played great football. I guess really not defensively at the end. Rivers struggled early. Keenan Allen went down early. No Melvin Gordon. Really, how did the Chargers win this game, and how did the Chiefs blow this game? You start to question the coaching once again. They've choked late in the season or in the playoffs in the past for the Chiefs, and they have the talent. They have maybe the best player in football, Mahomes, one of the best players in football in Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce. Keeps going on. They get the sacks. They get the pressure on Rivers and other quarterbacks, and they got to close this game out at home. It's a learning experience, so it could be a good thing, but it makes you question it. Clutch performance at the end by Phillip Rivers and Mike Williams. Yeah, very impressive without Melvin Gordon and Keenan Allen, really, in this game. And they're a wild card spot right now, and that's pretty ridiculous because you could argue that the best team in the AFC, maybe the second best team, no worse than the third best team in the AFC, and they're in a wild card spot. So that's something. Texans and Jets. Pretty close game for a while here. The Texans looked like they had control early, or they should have, but they were kicking field goals instead of scoring touchdowns. Credit to the Jets' defense. And the Jets stuck with them. We didn't really learn much from this, but it kind of showed more that, Darnold flashes some potential. We knew he had potential, and that he has no weapons. We knew that, but it kind of showed more. He needs better weapons for him to grow. Great receiver class coming up in this draft, so I think they'll look there. Defense promising, could use some pieces, could use a couple pass rushers for the future, but very promising Jets future, I guess. Got to get a running back, got to get some receivers for Darnold, but yeah, there was a play late in the game. I think Darnold threw at the back of the head of a Texans defender, and I believe it was Curse. Hopefully I'm right on that. Really could have just stuck his arms out and caught the ball. Not sure why he didn't. Don't like that one bit. I don't know if he wasn't looking. I thought he saw the ball, but don't like that. If it's my team, I don't like that on my team one bit. The Texans put this game away. DeAndre Hopkins shows why he's the best receiver in football. Couldn't get much of the run game going here, but they get a win. When they're in their winning streak, this is the type of wins they got, and they got to keep winning games like this. So good for the Texans. Bright future for the Jets, hopefully. Browns 17, Broncos 16. It's just whatever coach just didn't want the game more, really what it was. The Broncos had the opportunity to score a touchdown, decided to kick a field goal, and I believe there was 5 minutes left. They should have tried to convert for the touchdown. Really, that was your only chance. Browns get the ball back, run the clock out to a minute. They're inside the Broncos 10, got 4th and 1. You kick the field goal, no brainer here. They go for it, negative 2-yard run for Chubb. So if the Broncos go down there with a minute left, kick a field goal, they win the game when you could have been up by 4 points. So terrible coach game. Greg Williams is doing a good job with this team overall since the coaching changes, but not a good decision there. Disappointing. I picked the Broncos, thought they were going to be a tough team to beat at home, at Mile High. Very talented team. They need a coaching change, really what it is. So good win for the Browns there. They need a lot to happen to make the playoffs. Cardinals 14, Falcons 40. I don't know if it's really a good thing here. The Falcons had the 4th pick. They moved, I think, to the 6th pick, somewhere around there. And it looks good that they blew out the Cardinals 40-14. Looks real good, but bad thing is, kind of hurting your pick, not too big of a deal, but the offense looked good. It's time to move on from Sarkisian. Is something like this going to make him keep his job? We'll see. He needs to go, in my opinion. Good game from Tevin Coleman. Cardinals' run defense ain't too good though. They got a ways to go. They got to pick up some guys. Rosen needs some help. He needs to play better at the same time. Yeah, big win for the Falcons. I picked the Falcons, but I thought it'd be a lot closer. Did not expect them to score 40 points on a defense that's been pretty solid recently, mainly pass defense, secondary. So good win for the Falcons, but really doesn't mean much. Lions 13, Bills 14. Impressive defensive game from both teams. Josh Allen had a crazy scramble for a touchdown early. Shows his athleticism. He's got even more athletic since college. Crazy. But other than that, the Lions really held him in the check. Didn't allow him to scramble too much after that. So very impressed from the Lions. I've been impressed with this Lions defense for the last few weeks now. With Patricia as the head coach, defensive-minded guy. They got a bright future at defense. They got some young studs on their defense too, drafted very well. The quarterback plays just got to be better. Galladay is a very good receiver. Maybe get another one. They need Marvin Jones back, but they need Kerryon Johnson back. I guess the Lions got to play a little better, but this team has potential to be very good in the future, and same goes for the Bills. Their future looks good. That's obvious, though, because they got a young quarterback. They got a good defense. They need weapons around him. The Lions should be able to execute games like this, and it's disappointing when they don't. I know some guys are out, but, Stafford, I think Stafford's got to play better. Not a good year from him. I think he has playmakers. Kenny Galladay was very impressive in this game, but defensive game, really, the Bills need to find a running back because McCoy's just, seems like every year he's hurt, and a long list of running backs get hurt for the Bills. So I think it's time to get your future running back. You need another receiver, too. Robert Foster, very impressive. Zay Jones can play, too. Maybe you need another, in the latest mock item, taking N'Keal Harry because he's the best receiver in the draft. That's the first one I had go. But maybe it makes more sense to get more of a shifty guy. Maybe like a Marquise Brown, maybe where they picks a little too early. Maybe you trade back, maybe you trade up. I'm already talking about the draft. We're just talking about our Week 15 recap, so I got to stop with that. But bright future, I think, for both teams. A little concerned, for the Lions because Stafford almost looks like he's on a decline a little bit, and they're getting some young talent on the defensive side and the offensive side. So it's a little disappointing. Packers 17, Bears 24. It didn't really feel this close. It didn't feel like a 7-point game. The Bears dominated this game. First half, their secondary was very impressive. Their coverage was very impressive. Pass rush was a key part of that too. The running backs looked good for the Bears in this game. Trubisky, played a very solid game, then turned the ball over. Clear-cut choice for Coach of the Year is Matt Nagy, but I think he could, not a big deal, but I think he could be the reason this was a little closer. I didn't like the decision to go for that fake punt. Like, if you're going to go for it, you might as well go for it with your offense. It's a very quick offense. Quarterback can run. You can dump it off to a wide-open guy at times. So I would have just punted the ball, pinned him deep because you're up 14-6. So I didn't like that call. The Wildcat, it happens. But still my choice for Coach of the Year for Matt Nagy. But that could be the reason it was a little close. So somewhat close. They held Rodgers in check. They got a pick on him. Doesn't happen often. Rodgers did not look good in this game. Once again this year, he either, like I said, in the first half, coverage was great on the Bears. Pass rush helped. So there was no open receivers. Second half, I kept finding guys open, and he was missing them, either missing them or not seeing them. I don't. I was talking about the NFC North a couple days ago with some guys, and I thought it was pretty wide open for next year. The Bears are young; they just won it this year. They can be back on top next year. The Vikings are very talented. They're also still pretty young. They got that defense. They can be back at the top. I explained about the Lions. They got a promising team. It's really on Stafford. And the Packers. I'm like, the Packers are going to be a scary team next year because they got these young guys. They drafted well last year. They got 2 first-round picks this year with a boatload of picks. And they have Aaron Rodgers, who's one of the best quarterbacks in football. But is it because of the injury? But it kind of looks like he's also on a decline a little bit, and it's an unfortunate time. So I'm very curious to see what Rodgers shows up next year. Like some of these throws he's missed this year, they put on the coaching staff and his weapons, but some of these are really on him. I don't doubt him coming back next year and playing great because he still can be a very great quarterback. But it brings up the question. It's tough. But good win for the Bears. They won the North. And they're gonna go for that second seed possibly. Try to catch those Rams. Raiders 16, Bengals 30. Kind of as expected, the Bengals ran the ball, or the running backs played a very good game. That was pretty much it in this one. The Raiders, probably a good thing they lost. Need the higher pick. They're gonna battle the Cardinals for that top spot in the draft. They need defense, more defense. They need some weapons for Derek Carr. Offensive line's got to develop. Maybe they can use another guy there. Big game for the Bengals running backs. Boyd got hurt. He scored a touchdown though. Not one of the best games of the week just because of the matchup. So, but good game for the Bengals. The Colts dominate the Cowboys 23-0. The Cowboys had opportunities to score some points, couldn't quite do it. Credit to the Colts defense. This was supposed to be, everyone knew, definitely a defense of the future because how they drafted, but people expected this year to be maybe even the worst 32nd defense in football, and they are playing out of their minds lately. Young talent everywhere and playing at a high level already. What are they going to be like in the future? I don't even want to know. This has to be the team of the future right here. Andrew Luck's impressive. T.Y. Hilton's impressive. T.Y. Hilton, a couple years ago I would have told you top 10, maybe even top 5 receivers. Why? Because he can play in the slot, play outside, can run pretty much every route. There was a lack of those guys in the NFL. Now there's more. He's had some injuries, so he kind of went down just outside the top 10, but it's showing again. They try to double cover him, and just where he lines up, it doesn't matter. He'll run any route from either of those spots, and you just can't stop him. The quickness, the speed, so very impressive game from him. Marlon Mack ran for well over 100 yards. I liked him coming out of South Florida. He's looking very good now. They got Hines who can catch the ball in the backfield. That's a good team. It's sticking with me, that Jags game. I don't know what happened in that game. I guess that happens, but I guess that's why I picked the Cowboys. That stuck with me a little too much. It's still with me, but this is a playoff team. Both sides of the ball. They hold the Cowboys to 0. The Cowboys all year, very good defense, look like a sure tackling defense. They missed a lot of tackles in this game, a lot of tackles. So to not look like themselves is that, the Colts that good. AFC teams are that much better than NFC teams. Cowboys on an off day or Cowboys being away from home, all that mixed together. I couldn't tell you, but I guess it's all that mixed together. So they got to play better, Very impressive game from the Colts. They got to get in the playoffs, though, because right now they're on the outside of the wild card spot, which is shocking. But very impressive team. Can't wait to watch this team in the future. Bright future for this team. Dolphins 17, Vikings 41. Yes, the Vikings scored 41 points. Wild. First game without DeFilippo, 6 plays on the first drive, they score. Next drive, 6 plays, they score. Next drive, 7 plays, they score. Very interesting. They used their weapons. They used Dalvin Cook as much. They probably could have used him more, but we saw what Dalvin Cook is capable of. So just little things like that. Was the play calling that much different? It was different, but not that much. But just what one play on a drive, what one play on a first down can do, not to set yourself up for third down. That's the main thing. I think they were setting themselves up for third down. They got to pass. The line's weak. You can blitz them and get them. So that was the key here. The Dolphins' 2 touchdowns were a pick 6 bad throw by Kirk Cousins, and then a 75-yard touchdown on Kalen Ballage showing some speed. That was very impressive. But other than that, pretty dominant game from the Vikings. Dolphins struggle away from home. So do the Vikings. So we see what these teams are capable of when they're at home. Can they stay consistent away? 9 sacks for the Vikings, too. That was, we talk about they scored 41 points. The offense was a lot better. The offensive line played better, too. But the key was Dalvin Cook was dominant in the 9 sacks. Tannehill didn't do too much in this game. So good game for the Vikings. They got to go to Detroit next week. Let's see if they can stay consistent. They hold that 6th seed. Could actually get the 5th, but also could drop out of the playoffs. Let's see what they can do. Let's see if they can finally stay consistent. Titans 17, Giants 0. Titans holding the 0. I thought, Saquon would run wild, run for a touchdown or 2, really, but I still thought the Titans would win the game. Very impressive. 14 attempts for 31 yards for Barkley. So Titans defense, very impressive. Logan Ryan goes down. That's a huge loss for the season. A huge loss. Titans offense, they have to do a little more. Derrick Henry's unreal, though. 33 carries for 170 yards. We've seen him getting under 10 carries during the year than what he did last week. They're finally realizing maybe this guy's legit. 33 carries, 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. The guy's insane. You see, just like we talk about the Vikings, once you start using a healthy Dalvin Cook more and more, you see how good he is. Once you start using Derrick Henry more and more, you see how good he is. These 2 running backs that people don't really talk about, that they're starting talking about Dalvin Cook, but a guy like Henry, they might be top 10 running backs in the NFL. It just got to be used right and more. But, impressive game out of him. Then other than that, not much offense, but defense holds the Giants to 0. Got a little help from Eli, some mistakes on the Giants' part. no Odell. So Giants putting themselves in a position to get a good pick, even though before this game they had a little bit of a streak going. Redskins 16, Jags 13. Yeah, I had a feeling about the Redskins in this one. I like Josh Johnson. Not going to wow really besides just running. So kind of maintained the game, played a solid game. But, both teams weren't really too good. The Jags' only touchdown was a return. Bortles to me is better than Kessler. I know Bortles is going to turn it over once or twice more than Kessler, but I think he can go get you a touchdown. He played pretty solid last year. So obviously they're looking for their quarterback of the future. It's pretty obvious. Good win for the Redskins. It's unfortunate that the Redskins had to have so many injuries because they could have made the playoffs. Like, what if the Redskins, didn't get beat up the way they did? Would they have made the playoffs? You could say that about a lot of teams. The Vikings, what if they would have fired their offensive coordinator a few weeks ago? Where would they be now? The Panthers, what if they, cut that huge losing streak by 1 or 2? Where would they be right now? The Eagles, what if they put Nick Foles in earlier? What would they be right now? You could say that's about a lot of teams. So, tough year for some of these NFC teams. But the Redskins get a win there. They're the first team up in that wild card spot, I believe. Them and the Eagles are right there behind the Vikings, so we'll see. Buccaneers 12, Ravens 20. Ravens in sloppy conditions started a little sloppy, Lamar Jackson, but then, really took control in the running game. The Buccaneers last few weeks been starting games pretty good, looking like they're going to win the game, but then nope. Gus Edwards ran for 104. Lamar Jackson ran for 95. Kenneth Dixon ran for 48. A lot of rushing yards there. The Buccaneers' main weakness was their pass D. Didn't show up in this one. The run D showed up and was not good. So another solid game from the Ravens. Defense looked solid. Offense did enough. The Buccaneers finally ran the ball pretty decently well, I guess. 85 yards from Peyton Barber, but still not able to do too much. Tough situation the Bucs are in because they need a lot of defense, but will they have the offense in today's NFL to beat those other teams in the similar situations? So it's tough. We'll see what they do. In the offseason, good win for the Ravens. That's a very important win. Seahawks 23, Niners 26. Another shocker here. Niners take control. They beat the Broncos last week and win this week. Just a couple weeks ago, the Seahawks dominated the Niners, just completely dominated. Shows us two things. This year's weird, and it's very, very hard, which I keep saying, to beat a team twice. Very hard. That's kind of was a thing in sports for a while, but this year in the NFL shows it more than ever, So tough one for the Seahawks. Carson played a very good game. I really don't know what happened here. The Niners, I guess you can't let the Niners score 20. I mean, you held the Vikings to 7 points when the game was already over, really, so really 0. And then the Niners go out and score 26. I know you're away from – a lot of these teams really just don't look the same away from home. I think that's what it is. But I guess the main reason for the loss, a big reason, would be the penalties. Where are they? 14 penalties for 148 yards for the Seahawks. You can't win doing that, and you go to overtime. It's impressive that they even made it to overtime with that many penalties, but at the same time, it's not impressive at all. But how could you get that many penalties? Was a team that I don't know. I don't know sometimes about the NFL. This week in general wasn't bad at all. It was one of the better weeks for officiating, but that right there, 148, are they punishing this? Are they making up for last week? The talk after the Monday night game, Seahawks-Vikings, was how many missed calls there was. Bobby Wagner got fined for a face mask that didn't even get called. Bobby Wagner also blocked a field goal that shouldn't have happened. I do think, even before that, I think refs, the league, makes up for stuff. You can see they play it after. So 148 yards, hard to believe that they actually committed that many penalties, when other teams are getting 20 yards in penalties. And the Seahawks are doing, getting 20 yards in penalties or 20 to 40 yards in penalties and, consistently. So it's hard to believe. That would be the main reason for the loss. Niners are impressive. Jeff Wilson impressive. Nick Mullins getting better and better, Pretty good under pressure. Direct pressure on blitzes, though, does need to work on. But when he's getting rushed from the outside, he's able to find an open receiver pretty quick. Very impressive. And, he just started, not too long ago. First time ever. So the Niners are winning now. So, Jimmy G is obviously the guy of the future. But Nick Mullins, guy that can play. Patriots 10, Steelers 17. Oddly, a defensive game. Touchdowns early, thought it would be an offensive game. Then I don't know what happened. I got the two Hall of Fame quarterbacks did not play too well in this game. I just can't believe it was 17-10. It's hard to believe. So not much in this game. Jalen Samuel stepped up pretty well. Not hard to run against the Patriots defense. But Samuel's, my concern was hitting the hole with burst, and I've seen a lack of that the last few weeks. I saw that in this game, that he had the burst to hit the hole, the vision. So very impressive there. They should get James Conner back. Will be big. This is a huge win for the Steelers. Biggest win of the week was for the Steelers. If they lost this game, they may have missed out in the playoffs. They continue to hold on to that AFC North spot big time. Them and the Ravens battling for that. I think both can get in now. Just that win changes a lot. And then the teams like the Colts and the Titans are being held on the outside because of the battle of the Steelers and the Ravens. That Steelers win was huge. The Patriots, they're very fortunate. Their division is the weakest in football. They're not playing good. Even in their wins they really weren't too good. The Vikings win was pretty solid, but the Vikings offense was a complete disaster. Other than that, even their wins weren't too good. They got destroyed by the Titans. They score 10 points in this game. The defense, besides the run defense, secondary is stepping up. J.C. Jackson's got a promising future. Hell of an interception by Hayden on the other side for the Steelers. That was a key moment in this game. Almost forgot that. Don't know how. Defensive game, and it was weird. Eagles 30, Rams 23. Another surprising one, but it's Nick Foles. In our straight up picks video a few weeks ago, I said that I think right now, not future, not potential, Foles is the better option than Wentz, and I got bashed for that one. And I still think I'm right. I think my argument got strengthened a little bit. Foles didn't wow in this one. He controlled the game, did throw a red zone pick, wasn't a terrible throw. Good play of the defense there. And you got to keep in mind he's rusty too. But Alshon and Foles got to love each other, man. That connection is something else. Ertz, maybe he likes Wentz a little better, but Foles has got it. He controls the game. They should have done this a little earlier. And I know Wentz is hurt. I don't know if he's hurt as bad as they say. I think they were trying to go for the Foles magic. We'll see. Contract up after this year. What's going to happen? Nick Foles can play. He's not going to take your team out of it. Maybe he won't wow. At times he did, and in the Super Bowl he did. Eagles secondary. One of the worst in football this year, maybe because it's beat up. They can't tackle in the secondary too well. They played pretty well in this game. Goff was way off his game once again. They played pretty well. The stats really won't show because the Rams made it close, which they actually had a chance if it wasn't for that punt or Pharaoh Cooper muff punt, whatever. But credit to the thin depth of that because of injuries of the secondary of the Eagles. Pretty impressive most of that game. 30 points though. 30 points. Wow. Josh Adams looking good. Smallwood looking good. Like I said, Jeffrey was an animal. That one throw from Foles. I don't know if that was for him, that deep throw. I think Alshon just went up and stole it, but there's some kind of connection there. Alshon just looks like a whole different guy. Hasn't really looked too great this year at times, but and that Super Bowl run was outstanding. Foles is back. They got the Texans next week in a big game. Maybe it was a week too late. Can they catch the Vikings? I guess they got to hope that they lose, which is very possible. The Vikings struggle on the road this year, and they got the Bears in week 17. Eagles got to just worry about themselves still, go beat the Texans. I think it's very possible. They could honestly catch the Seahawks as well. Seahawks do play the Cardinals in week 17, though, so that might be tough. But impressive win from the Eagles. Goff needs to figure it out, really, is what it is. I think that system's getting figured out. Maybe the Eagles last year, Wentz, he's a good quarterback, had somewhat of a system, though, was an MVP type player, and then kind of gets figured out now, slowed down, then you throw a different guy in there, it's a different story. Similar such situation in LA. That system's starting to get figured out right in time for the playoffs. They struggled in the first week of the playoffs last week, first round last year against the Falcons. What's going to happen? Maybe they're saving something. I don't think so, though, because I don't think they want the Bears to catch them and get that 2 seed. They can't tie them because the Bears win that tiebreaker. So I don't think they're saving anything. If that's the case, it's stupidity. Goff's got to play better. Bottom line, good win for the Eagles. I'm predicting 34-27 Saints. I think I had it 34-24 before. A little closer for the Panthers. There's actually people out there that think the Panthers are going to win this game. That'll be huge for them back into the playoff conversation That'd be big time. With this NFL season, what's going on? It wouldn't surprise me all that much, but I think the Saints are the better team. The difference here is, it's Monday, any given Sunday, I was about to say, any given game, I think the Panthers' offense could be better than the Saints' offense. Saints' offense is better, plain and simple. But it can happen in a week where the Panthers' offense is better than the Saints. It won't be by much if that happens. But the defensive sides, Saints' defense isn't the best in football, but I think that Saints' defense is going to play better than the Panthers' defense. Yeah, Panthers' defense has been a mess. No pass rush. Even their best players aren't playing where they used to play. Secondaries kind of could be open, so it's hard for me to see the Panthers winning this game, but at the same time, they're home, prime time. This year's been weird. Could happen. So I made it look a little closer. 7-point lead, 7-point game. Yeah, that's what I got. That's my recap. Almost to the playoffs. Can't wait for the playoffs. Tired of recapping regular season. Want to recap the playoffs. We're going to have straight up picks just like we did during the regular season. Straight up picks against the spread, my score predictions during the playoffs. I'm thinking it may go back to normal in the playoffs. Not too many upsets. I guess really nothing's that much of an upset in the playoffs because all the best teams are there. We'll see, though. Home field advantage means a lot this year, so teams like the Rams got to make sure they secure it. The Bears are coming for them. The Bears got crazy home field advantage, so teams like that. Saints need to hold on to that 1 seed, which they should, because going through New Orleans in the NFC, it's going to be tough to take them down. We'll see, though. Can't wait for the playoffs. I'm ready for it. Subscriber goals 10K subs. Please help us get there. Much appreciated. And clicking the like button will be much, much appreciated as well. Stay tuned for weekly NFL content, all kinds of stuff here. We'll have you covered all through the playoffs. We got Friday night live streams, off-season predictions, free agency, draft, all kinds of great stuff here at Frogs Angels. Thanks for everyone's support. Thanks for watching this video. That'll do it for this one.